Hello there, badgers. One angry pagan here. So, I'm gonna do a video about the EU-UK deal later or tomorrow. I still need to sort my thoughts out on that one. Well, this one, however, I thought would be interesting to take a listen to. So, defence ministers quizzed by MPs in the Commons. Now, as you know, being a bit more focused on defence because of the Ukraine business and whatnot, so thought it'd be interesting to see, because I've been hearing that there's supposed to be an update about this, so let's see what this is about. And looks like it says it's about the security and defence partnership between the UK and the EU. So this will be a more of a deep dive into one specific aspect of what of the little of the big deal that happened earlier in midday. Please like, subscribe, leave comments. Yeah, so this will be Healy, I think, Defence Minister Healy. Just see if
raising the profile of veterans, and I'm sure the whole House wishes him well, and most of us think also rather him than me. Mr. Speaker,
don't know what they're talking about.
This government's confirmed the biggest increase in defence spending since the end of the Cold War. It'll boost national security. It'll make defence the engine for growth in every part of the United Kingdom. But for too long, small businesses have felt left out of defence.
Oh, and I will leave the link to this in the description below.
But no more, so we're setting new targets to ensure that smaller firms benefit from this increased defence spending. We're setting up a new support centre to guide small businesses on access to defence, and for the first time we're making British-based businesses a priority for British taxpayers' defence investment.
There's a grouping, I think, Secretary.
Indeed so, Mr. Speaker. With your permission, we'll take questions 6, 8 and 19 with this one.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I also wish the Veterans Minister the best of luck as he climbs Everest. And I'm sure all of us...
The Veterans Minister is climbing Everest. Okay then, I didn't know that was happening. Good luck.
The House do agree rather him than us. And as you all, Mr. Speaker, in today's world, warfare is changing dramatically. $1,000 drones can destroy $10 million tanks. But the innovation cycle for these drones is also rapid. They're designed to become obsolete within months. Now, we need a dynamic SME sector to produce these drones, but these defence SMEs are struggling to get the finance that they need, a lack of long-term contracts and a lack of guarantees. Now, a multilateral defence bank could help ensure that these firms do get the finance they need. So can the Secretary of State please set out the discussions he is having to help found that multilateral...
I think this is a Labour MP from the angle that I'm seeing it at.
Defence bank.
Yeah.
Well, my honourable friend is quite right about the fact that capabilities are now changing in weeks, not months or even years. He's also right about finance, which is why I went to the London Stock Exchange last week and closed the markets. I think the first time a Defence Secretary had ever done that. And I did it because I want to signal that this government wants a new partnership, not just with industry and innovators, but also with investors. And that means changing the way that defence does its work.
Charter.
Okay.
Mr. Speaker, I've met outstanding UK SMEs like Supercat, 4GD and many others contributing to the sovereign industrial base our security depends on. But under the last government, the percent of MOD direct expenditure going to SMEs fell from 5 to 4%. So can my right honourable friend confirm when this government expects to surpass that record and therefore back the innovation we need to equip our forces and support our allies?
So is this a question on R&D?
Well, first, Mr. Speaker, can I congratulate and say thank you to my honourable friend and our honourable friend and the member for Aldershot for the work they're doing on innovative finance that will help SMEs in future, and I look forward to the publication of their RUSI report shortly. I can confirm, Mr. Speaker, this afternoon that
Okay, no, this is more
SME
manufacturing.
involvement in the defence supply chain will be boosted by new spending targets that I will set in June to produce exactly the sort of result
A couple of weeks away.
my honourable friend is looking for.
Catherine Atkinson.
When I spoke at the Make UK Defence Summit in Derby, I met with lots of small and medium-sized businesses in the sector, and the issues they raised with me were echoed during my visit last week to a local composites manufacturer, Pentaxia. Issues including accessing finance to grow and complicated defence procurement processes. What is the Defence Secretary doing to engage with small and medium-sized companies to ensure that they can get a fair crack at government defence contracts?
There's a lot. There seems to be a bit of focus about small, medium enterprises in this bit. Got to admit.
My honourable friend knows better than most the challenge for small firms entering into the supply chain in defence, and she does more than most to champion their case. We want defence to do business differently. We want to make a big part of doing that differently to make it easier for small firms and newer entrants to start doing their business with defence, which is why we've announced a new SME support centre, a new front door, if you like, for small firms that can then become part of the defence supply chain, unlocking new jobs and putting more money in the pockets of workers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So basically what's being laid out there was an economic, like what's being laid out here is the economic case for this. I think. Let me know if you disagree with me on that one, but I think this bit isn't about R&D. It's more to do with the economic arguments for this. I think.
Earlier this year, I had the pleasure of hosting a round table and listening to businesses in Derby, small and medium-sized businesses in engineering and manufacturing, including the vital defence sector. With nearly 70% of government defence spending directed toward businesses outside of London and the South East, we know how every pound spent in UK defence businesses has the power to create jobs and employment for local people.
Yeah, so a lot of this is about the economic case. I did keep talking about jobs and SMEs.
Will the Secretary of State therefore outline how the department will ensure that as many of these SMEs as possible are aware of government procurement opportunities so they can deliver jobs in areas like Derby?
My honourable friend makes an important point that the access for SMEs to defence is very often through primes and subcontracting rather than direct with the Defence Department itself, and it's the certainty of long-term relationships and long-term contracts for the primes that allow them to do the same and pass that on to smaller firms. It's why when he joined me at the Derby Rolls-Royce factory, when I announced the eight-year, 9 billion unity contract for Rolls-Royce, it's significant that 240 small firms were part of that.
And I think that would be for plane engines. I think that's what Rolls-Royce does when it comes, or do they also do nautical engines? I'm not entirely sure. From what I remember, Rolls-Royce does plane engines, but if someone else can let me know on that one. I know they do cars as well, but you know what I mean.
Submarine supply chain.
I don't wish to end the Defence Secretary's glittering career here on the floor of the House, but can I praise him as my new favourite Minister alongside the Defence Procurement Minister on today announcing the new £400 million investment into Shropshire in my constituency for Ryan Mattel to build a new gun barrel factory. Can I thank him?
Ooh, that's interesting. That's very interesting. I'd love to know how people feel about that one.
And his Defence Procurement Minister for working with me across party in the national interest to make sure that the UK has the very latest and the most technologically advanced Challenger 3 tank, the best.
Interesting. a Tory that genuinely wanted to work cross-party on a really important issue. I like that.
In NATO.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman for that. We will always work across party in the national interests and in the interests of defence, and I hope he's wrong that it.
I have to admit, John Healy's head has got many, many wrinkles. That's not me wanting to fucking put a jibe in, but he's got a lot of wrinkles.
By doing so, that it may ruin my career. Nevertheless, I'm grateful to him for noticing the £400 million investment that Rheinmetall are making and announcing today in their Telford factory. That's a direct response of the UK-German defence agreement that I signed in October, and it is confirmation.
I didn't even know that happened.
Delivering for defence.
Good ear, Ned.
Interesting.
Somerset's defence-related SMEs helped to make the South-West the biggest region for defence after the South East. Will the Secretary of State take a particular look at how SMEs are supporting Somerset Armed Forces Day? They are a backbone of that operation. And will he look at the fact that Armed Forces Days run by veterans and volunteers don't receive the funding until sometime 6 months after they've held the Armed Forces Day event? And will he agree to support the biggest Armed Forces Day in the country, Somerset Armed Forces Day?
Yeah.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there may
Just
be
next door, county-wise,
a competition for
Somerset.
that title of the biggest Armed Forces Day event in the country, and I refer to the honourable gentleman, my friend for Cleethorpes, Great Grimsby and Cleethorpes. However, I'm not sure whether this is a question about SMEs or about Armed Forces Day events, but I welcome the support that his small firms are giving to that event. We from the centre are making sure that we can support local Armed Forces Day events, where we've got councils and local charities willing to organise them, and we're doing so right around the country, and I know the whole House will back those locally and nationally.
Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Somerset is
I think I've been involved in a couple of those.
home to many growing defence sector SMEs, such as Needles and Pins Aerospace in Somerton, who are shortly opening a new factory in the town. They've been a supplier of bespoke support equipment to Leonardo helicopters now for many years. So what support is the Minister providing to SMEs such as Needles and Pins to ensure they can compete for defence procurement contracts?
Well, I'd say to the Honourable Lady, if she alerts her local small firms to the commitment that I've made, that next month we will set a target for direct defence investment into SMEs.
Interesting. I really want to know what people think about what's being said here, because what I'm hearing sounds really good, but I'm coming from a point of not knowing too much about all of this. I mean, I can make sense of it somewhat because, you know, just logic, but like, it sounds good. Logically, this sounds good, but materially speaking, what's this? How good is what's being said?
She will then get confirmation of the commitment we have to boosting this important area of our economy. And she'll recognise that for every 1% more of defence spending we put into SMEs, it's worth £250 million more for those small firms.
Tim Farrell.
Speaker, given that only
Former leader of Liberal Democrats. My mum likes him.
4% of defence procurement at the moment goes on the SME sector, I very much welcome what he's saying about opening up that scope. Would he recognise, though, that part of the problem with SMEs getting defence contracts is not just the amount of money, though that is vital, it's also that the procurement portals and processes need to be accessible for smaller businesses with less of a backroom operation than the huge corporations. What can he say about that, particularly given our representative constituency where the entire economy is SMEs?
So he's asking about access, about SME access to the defence procurements, I think.
Speaker, I can say first of all that the new SME Support Centre, which we've announced and we will set up shortly, will help exactly with those sort of challenges. And secondly, to say he's right to point to that low 4% level of direct defence spending into SMEs, which was the level under the last government, which went down for every one of the 3 years before the last election.
James Cartledge, Shadow Secretary of State.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And on behalf of the official opposition, we too send our best wishes to the Veterans Minister on his ascent of Everest. On defence procurement, Mr. Speaker.
I have to admit, this Tory is a lot more, like, his voice booms a bit more. He comes through a bit better than John Healy's does, I have to say.
We will all have enjoyed the Red Arrows.
Comes from having a private school education, I suppose.
Fly past as part of our VE Day celebration.
He learned how to enunciate his words properly and be able to project his voice from afar.
But the fact is their Hawk jet needs replacing. So given that one of the publicly stated roles of the Red Arrows is, and I quote, supporting British industry, will the Secretary of State guarantee that the Red Arrow's next jet will be designed and manufactured in the United Kingdom?
Well, Mr. Speaker, as the former procurement minister, he will know that the replacement of our jet trainer is long overdue. And he will have heard me earlier on say that for the first time, this is a government that will first of all look to direct British taxpayers' defence investment to British-based firms, British-based jobs, British-based technology and British-based innovation.
John Mill.
Okay.
Question number 2, please.
Doing the Patriot Act there. Okay.
Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, this is a government delivering for defence. Today, the government has agreed a new bespoke and ambitious security and defence partnership between the United Kingdom and the European Union. The SDP will strengthen NATO, the cornerstone of the UK's defence, and it will grow the economy. It allows us to step up more effectively together on European security against growing Russian aggression and against the increasing threats that we face.
John Mill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The ill-advised decision to leave the EU in 2016 saw us leave the European Defence Agency at the same time. With defence expenditure rising at record rates across Europe in response to the invasion of Ukraine, the EDA has a vital role to play in our national security. What plans does the government have to secure a more effective working relationship with Europe's defence procurement strategy and form stronger links with the EDA?
That's a good question.
Mr. Speaker, with your permission and your acceptance, I apologise. I'm looking to take question 15 and 21 at the same time as this. Quite simply, the answer to the Honourable Gentleman's first question and his second question is exactly the partnership deal that we have signed this afternoon.
Okay. Then we're going to need to know more
Thank you,
details
Mr.
about that
Speaker.
then.
I welcome the news that the UK is deepening defence ties with the European Union, including participation in the €150 billion Security Action for Europe Defence Fund. However, given France has previously said it wants the UK's access to be limited to 15%.
Did I just hear someone being fucking told off then by the speaker? The woman the Lib Dem speaking isn't being had a go at, someone else's.
Will the Secretary of State confirm what level of access has been agreed?
Mr. Speaker, this is a big step today, a broad and bespoke agreement between the European Union and the UK on security and defence, but it is a first step. So settling the details and the terms of access for European programmes, including the safe funding programme, is exactly the task beyond today.
Luke Spellinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before being elected, I was...
What the fuck was that? About from the fucking Tories then? What the fuck was that about? This is the first step. Yeah, this is good. What? I don't get that.
Proud to serve alongside our European allies, including French, Dutch and Estonian forces in Afghanistan and elsewhere. Now in the face of Russian aggression in Ukraine, it is more important than ever that we build on those alliances to strengthen European security. Can the Secretary of State tell us how we can do more to strengthen European mechanisms for security, like the Joint Expeditionary Force, to build our collective security?
Jeff!
Yes, Mr. Speaker, my honourable friend is right, of course, about the Joint Expeditionary Force, but he's right to emphasise the importance of the step today, because whilst NATO is the cornerstone of our European security and recognised as such by the European Union in their white paper, the step today will mean that we'll be able to upgrade our cooperation with the European Union on the mobility of military material and personnel, on maritime and space security, on irregular migration, and on protecting our critical infrastructure.
Maritime and space. Okay, that's an interesting pairing.
It opens the door to closer defence industrial collaboration, including the potential participation in the EU's €150 billion safe.
So that was the Tory that asked the question.
Yeah. Will the Minister join me in congratulating the crew of HMS Dragon, which succeeded in obliterating a supersonic missile with a Sea Viper missile off the coast of the Hebrides? The Royal Navy hit their target thanks to the work of the MOD range Hebrides.
Nice.
And will he congratulate them on their continued work as well?
Fucking right. Well done.
I will indeed, Mr. Speaker. We congratulate the crew of the HMS Dragon for their professionalism and their skill, and they will welcome my honourable friends.
We know how to take out a hypersonic missile with Viper.
House this afternoon.
A Viper missile. That's cool.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, I previously raised at all questions my deep concern that the government would give away our fishing rights in order to access the EU rearmament fund. In fact, Mr. Speaker, it's far worse than that. Isn't this the truth? We've surrendered our fishing grounds for at least 12 years, and we will become a passive rule taker. And if
you asked for that for voting for Brexit, you stupid fucking Tory.
In exchange,
in the EU, we were helping to make the rules. Being outside the EU, of course we have to be the rule takers, fucking moron.
All we have is a glorified talking shop and not a penny of guaranteed defence funding.
What?
Absolutely wrong.
Well, Mr. Speaker, he's quite right. Last time, he's quite right that last time in this House, he talked about not excluding from the Safe Defence Fund that will include EU states. So I would have thought he would have welcomed this afternoon's agreement, because this is the
fuck off, Mark Francois, you gobby cunt.
And I just say to him, does he agree with his leader, therefore, who declared before even seeing the agreements that were going to be signed today, including this security and defence partnership, that she would tear them up?
Question number 3, please, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, earlier this month, the nation celebrated 80 years since Victory in Europe Day, and the government announced the Up Valour programme. This will be a new UK-wide veteran support system to ensure veterans have improved access to essential care and support, and it is backed by a new £50 million investment starting this year.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Charity PTSD Resolution had their rights to deliver healthcare services that imprisoned veterans desperately need taken away in England. This charity provided vital healthcare services in our stretched NHS. Will the Secretary of State meet with me to discuss how the MOD and other signatories to the Armed Forces Covenant can help the case of veteran prisoners and explain why precious support from a charity has been taken away?
Well, Mr. Speaker, we made an election commitment that we would put the Armed Forces Covenant fully into law, and we will do that. The Minister for Veterans is working across government to make sure that veterans get the support.
Apart from right now, because at the moment he's trying to go up Everest. But, yeah.
Support from all services that they need, and that includes Opnova, and that provides for those who are ex-forces that get caught up in the criminal justice system. And I know, and I can speak for him while he is up Everest, to say that he would welcome a meeting with my old friend, and I will ensure that that does take place.
Good day. Won't be on Everest. The Secretary of State knows as well as I do that one of the most distressing things facing our veterans today is the fear of being dragged into court in the face of politically motivated prosecutions after the Cluneau and Coke inquiries, which opened them up to that. There is obviously going to have to be some action taken to protect them. Is the MOD currently researching the legal and judicial and legislative requirements that are necessary in order to protect our veterans from this appalling treatment?
The right honourable gentleman is right.
Hang on. If there is evidence that these soldiers have done wrong on active duty, then What? Politically, I don't know how to say. I don't know how to take this because I don't know it. I can't trust a word that comes out of that man's mouth. That's my problem.
Oh, the Operation Banner veterans a huge debt of gratitude. Their professionalism and their sacrifice, in many cases of their lives, saved civilian lives and helped bring about the peace that Northern Ireland now endures. On Cluno, he knows that the MOD is seeking a judicial review of the coroner's findings, and he will also know that I am working closely with the Northern Ireland Secretary to make sure that the welfare and the legal support that we put in place for veterans any caught up in any investigations is reinforced further so that we can protect this special group of veterans from the impact of such investigations.
Shadow Minister Mark.
Not sure how I feel about that. Don't
Thank
feel
you,
good.
sir.
I don't
A group
feel good.
of army veterans who feel totally let down by this government.
Piss off, Mark Francois, you Brexiteering little cunt.
Have started a parliamentary petition entitled Protect Northern Ireland Veterans from Prosecutions, which has so far amassed almost 87,000 signatures in just over a week. Assuming they successfully obtain the other 13,000 required, can we then debate in Parliament why Labour, via their proposed remedial order, want to make it easier for Gerry Adams to sue the British government while legally abandoning our brave veterans and throwing them to the wolves?
Mr. Speaker, I hesitate to turn this into a party political debate, but the Honourable Gentleman has just done that. He must accept that his previous government's woeful Legacy Act did nothing to help veterans. It was found unlawful over and over again, and any incoming government
I didn't know that. Wow. I didn't know that the Legacy Act had been found unlawful again and again. Holy shit.
would have had to deal with that legacy, which is what we are doing. And I'm working with the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland. I'm looking to make sure that we minimise the impact of any investigations on this special group, this unique...
I don't like this talking up of the Northern Ireland veterans, I'm sorry.
...group of veterans who served with great distinction in most cases to keep the peace and to secure...
Yes, most. There were fucking disgraceful abuses of their position in Northern Ireland, you fucking Tory.
...for long-term peace and protect civilians.
So Labour could have appealed those judgments to the Supreme Court, but chose not to. Exactly. Labour MPs and peers have already voted for this barmy process in the Joint Committee on Human Rights on February the 26th. Labour will now be expecting all its MPs to vote for it again this autumn. Given that many of the young soldiers who served on Operation Banner in Northern Ireland were recruited from red wall seats, from Barnsley to Blackpool and from Bolton to Burnley, how on earth does this government expect any Labour MP to do Gerry Adams a favour at the expense of the veterans who opposed...
They don't like the fact that we had to do peace with Gerry Adams. They really don't. Do you know what? To make peace, you actually have to talk to your enemies. You have to make peace with your enemies to make peace. You fucking Tory.
And then go back to their own seats and look...
Eventually, unless he is taken out, we will have... a peace will have to be done with Putin. Eventually. If you haven't seen Peter Capaldi's doctor's anti-war speech, fucking watch it.
Their constituents, including the veterans and their families, in the eye.
His government's Legacy Act has been found to be unlawful time and again We have to deal with that problem, and any government would. My concern is for those UK service personnel who served in Northern Ireland over the period of 38 years, there to protect the peace, there to protect civilian lives, there to prevent civil war. And we support any of those caught up in the investigations or any litigation now with welfare and legal support. I'm determined we will protect them further. I'm working with the Northern Ireland Secretary as part of the plans for replacing the Legacy Act arrangements, and we will make sure that we discharge our duty to those veterans that have served our country so well.
What about Jerry Adler? Fuck off, you cunt. I'm using that word liberally today and I don't care.
Question number 4, please, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I was in a good mood after watching the live stream at 12. This is just...
Exercise Hedgehog is currently demonstrating the rapid deployment of 4 Brigade by road, rail, sea and air to Estonia as part of NATO's forward land force, with nearly 2,000 British service personnel, in addition to those already
Operation Hedgehog, I like that.
permanently deployed to Estonia. To keep Britain secure at home and strong abroad, we are working with our EU, NATO and JEF partners to enhance military mobility.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for that answer, Minister. I note the new Rail Baltica under construction from Warsaw to Estonia, a potentially useful project to assist troop movement if needed in the future. Does the Minister agree that we and our allies need to be agile to respond to threats emanating from Russia, particularly in support of the Baltic states like Estonia?
Well, I thank my friend for his question. I met with the Estonian ambassador, indeed all JEF ambassadors from JEF nations last week on board HMS Sutherland, and he's absolutely right. Fast deployable forces are vital deterrents against Russian aggression and underline our key commitment to NATO's eastern flank, in particular our strong commitment to our friends in Estonia, which we will continue to have their backs.
We needed to this needed to be more like 2 years ago, showing more strength.
And to make sure we have forces deployed there, securing that nation's freedom.
Douglas McCall.
Question number 5, please, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With permission, I'll answer questions 5, 12 and 20 together. This government is making defence an engine for growth across the UK. Our forthcoming defence industrial strategy will grow a faster, more integrated, more innovative and resilient defence sector. Prioritising UK-based firms for government investment will drive economic growth, boost British jobs and strengthen national security. We're sending a signal to the market and to our adversaries with a strong UK defence sector will make Britain secure at home and strong abroad.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Increasing our investment in defence is not only bolstering our national security, but also an opportunity to support vital, skilled defence sector jobs and boost economic growth. Can I ask the Minister, will the forthcoming defence industrial strategy spread prosperity across the regions and nations of the UK? Will he use defence procurement and investment to generate wealth and create high-quality jobs in the west of Scotland and make defence an engine for growth across Scotland?
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for that question? We are delivering for defence across all the nations and regions. The Clyde Infrastructure Programme, £1.8 billion programme, will create skilled jobs in the west of Scotland over the next 40 years, whilst delivering our triple lock commitment on keeping CAS-D. And I recently opened Rolls-Royce Submarines office in Glasgow to access skilled talent pools in his area to support Dreadnought and AUKUS-class boats. All this goes to show, as he said, Mr. Speaker, that defence is an engine for growth.
Mr. Speaker,
I really do want people to let me know what they think of this. Again, like, logically, this sounds good to me. But my knowledge base is not on military matters. I now consider the military to be more important than I ever used to. But that still doesn't mean that I know. But this logically sounds good. to those people who know more about this that may have watched this video, please leave a comment in the comment section below. What material effect is all this going to have, if at all?
Dynamics already provide good jobs in South Wales. As a former member of the Public Accounts Committee, can I welcome plans to cut delivery times for the new communications and weapons systems of the future? Does the Minister agree with me, though, that we need to overcome scepticism from the public that getting defence kit to the front line can take too long?
I didn't know that was...
Well, Mr. Speaker, I do agree with my honourable friend, because the previous government, on average, the length of time to contract was 6 years, and only 2 out of the 49 major projects that they oversaw were on time and on budget. So that's why our procurement reforms will speed up and improve delivery to the front line, and thus boost our defence and security.
Some colour.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To encourage more people to pursue a career in our armed forces, we need to make sure the whole offer is strong, including accommodation. I've had concerns raised with me around poor performance from managing agents involved in maintaining MOD properties in my constituency, often with complex subcontracting arrangements that make it very difficult to hold anyone accountable. I know of cases where people were dealing with a rodent infestation for 6 weeks due to inaction after it was reported to managing agents. Can the Minister assure me that we are working to make sure managing agents are being held accountable by the Ministry of Defence?
My honourable friend makes a good point. We're delivering for defence by putting people at the heart of our defence plans, and the new consumer charter for families in military homes will include improved repairs, a named housing officer for every family, and a better and clearer complaints process. I am aware of the issues that he raises with pest control at RAF Wittering. This has been raised with Amy, who are the contractor. They have the maintenance contract there, and I will expect to see an improvement.
Speaker, my constituency of Huntingdon is the home of our defence intelligence capability. It is also home to the Joint Intelligence Operations Centre Europe Analytics Centre for the US Air Force and the NATO Fusion Intelligence Centre. With Whitton Airfield now recently designated as a trailblazer site, and it could be a key location to build out a defence technology. And would the Minister meet with me to discuss the potential of building out a defence technology hub within Huntingdon alongside the Combined Authority and Huntingdonshire District Council?
You know, I do like this. I do like to see this every now and again, where you get Tories going, you know what, I'm not going to be adversarial, I'm not going to be a prick. I'm going to go, will the government that's in ideologically opposite to me, apparently, will it work with me on this particular subject? Will we get past our ideological barriers and work together? I like this.
Mr. Speaker has set out a compelling reason for why I should meet with him, and I'm very happy to do so.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Times has reported that the UK has fewer than 10 tanks stationed in Estonia, and that troop numbers have been cut from April 2022 of 1,650 to around 1,000 today. By comparison, Germany has 5,000 troops on track to be stationed by 2027 in Lithuania. Is this correct, and is this a concern for the Minister?
I would have thought so.
The honourable gentleman has set out some troop movement issues. We are moving to a lighter formation, but there's no reason why we can't meet with him and explain in full the situation. I'm very happy to volunteer my honourable friend to meet with him.
I don't like that. I don't like that. I have to admit.
There we are. Hello, Maguire, Liberal Democrat spokesperson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Unless someone else can tell me tactically why we're lessening the troops in Estonia or Lithuania or whatever it was. That didn't sound like a good move to me.
During last week's peace talks in Turkey, President Putin proved once again that he had no interest in stopping the fighting.
Yep.
His goal remains the subjugation of Ukraine. Moreover, this afternoon's reported phone call between Putin and President Trump once again presents the alarming possibility that between them, the Kremlin and the White House will agree a carve-up of Ukraine. This would be utterly intolerable. I asked the minister what more is the government doing to invest directly in Kiev's weapon production to ensure we strengthen Ukraine's ability to resist Putin.
Graham is fucking right. As soon as a woman stands up to speak, it's not the government at least, you get a in the background. But if it's a guy standing up to speak, it's fucking dead silence. It's 2025 for fuck's sake. Enough of the misogyny.
Putin's war machine resist attempts to carve up by Putin and Trump and secure maximum leverage for any peace negotiations.
Mr. Speaker, I was waiting to hear whether or not the Honourable Lady had got the wrong question there, but she's fitted it in order, for which I congratulate her. We are cooperating across different European arrangements and our own here to make sure that we can supply Ukraine, and we have stepped up in the UK, spending £4.5 billion this year, and we coordinate a lot of the UK and European-wide efforts to make sure that Ukraine can stand up to the aggression that they're still facing from Russia, no matter what President Putin or anybody else has to say about it.
Question number 7, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
And that would be, I got to admit, I don't like this question number 8, Mr. Speaker. I say the fucking question.
Mr. Speaker, the landmark agreement secured today will complement our bilateral partnerships with European countries. It will pave the way for the UK defence industries to participate in EU defence programmes, supporting thousands of British jobs, boosting growth and making our continent safer.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased that today the United Kingdom is hosting a summit here in London to reset our relationship with Europe. Yet another sign that this Labour government is restoring our reputation as a global power after it was trashed by a decade of Tory incompetence. Will my honourable friend outline what steps are being taken to ensure that our world-leading defence industry can access the European Rearmament Fund to drive economic prosperity at home, to benefit my constituents in Paisley and Renfrewshire South and strengthen security across Europe?
Well, I thank my honourable friend for the question. The UK and the EU will use this opportunity to explore closer collaboration across defence industrial initiatives in a way that will support economic growth and jobs on both sides and help to prevent fragmentation across our shared industrial base. We can now go on to discuss a bilateral agreement to facilitate participation in EU schemes like REARM and SAFE.
Good.
What financial commitment will the UK have to make to participate in this fund?
Typical Tory question.
Any financial commitment that has to be made will be subject to the further discussions that I have just set out, because the agreement today enables us to then discuss bilaterally what arrangements we can make in order to have access to these.
So you're trying to chat over. It doesn't even matter if it's the government minister talking. Like if it's a woman talking, they're gonna talk over her because they're misogynistic pricks. This is fucking disgusting.
Programmes.
So use.
Number 9, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure on behalf of the whole House, the House will join me in passing our condolences on the death of Lord Etherton and our sympathy for his friends and family. His legacy will continue to shape an inclusive and fair future for armed forces community. The LGBT Financial Recognition Scheme has a budget of £75 million. That's 50% higher than that set by the previous government. And Defence has made £90,000 available as grants to charities including the Royal British Legion, Fighting with Pride, to support LGBT veterans with completing their applications.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. One of my constituents was outed and then dismissed from the RAF when he was just 21, an experience which completely affected his whole life.
I was very pleased to hear that last week his application for compensation under the LGBT financial recognition scheme was accepted and he's due to receive his payment shortly. So it's great to hear that this Labour government is getting on with the job for these veterans who are so badly failed by the state. I wonder if the minister would give an update on progress of the scheme.
Yeah. Interesting. So on one hand, they're still being shit towards, like, they've done shit things towards, you know, there's fuck all support for trans people, but at the same time, they still think they're being LGBT friendly. I'm like, oh. Damn my nuanced thinking. This is good. I just wish they didn't fucking capitulate on the trans issue.
Well, I thank my more friend for raising the issue and the case that she did. It's absolutely vital that no matter who you fall in love with, there's a place for you in our armed forces. I'm pleased to announce that since the LGBT financial recognition scheme was launched...
It's not just about who you fall in love with, it's about who you are. Yeah, sorry.
12th of December 2024, we have now made a total of £1 million in payments to the dismissed or discharged to people who are terminally ill or over 80s who are dismissed or discharged due to their sexuality. 964 applications for non-financial restorative measures have been received and are being processed, and the recruitment of the independent panel and appeals board is complete, so payment for the LGBT FRS impact payments can begin shortly.
Okay.
Number 10,
See,
Mr.
again,
Speaker.
this sounds good. This sounds legitimately good. But again, I'm going to need I'm going to need any watchers, any badgers out there to tell me whether or not this actually materially is good.
From bench.
With permission, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to answer 10 and 17 together. The Secretary of State and I are in regular and close contact with our NATO allies on strengthening the Euro-Atlantic security. Last week, the Secretary of State and I were both in Germany discussing closer cooperation and how to further enhance bilateral defence cooperation. The Secretary of State attended a meeting of the E5 defence ministers during driving European leadership in Ukraine, and next month we'll meet allies in preparation for the Hague summit in June.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I thank the Minister for that answer. In this era of global instability and volatility, NATO has never been more vital for Britain's defence and security. I've been alarmed to see that certain Green Party politicians have suggested that the UK leave NATO, abandoning our commitment to our...
This is why the Green Party... I cannot vote for the Green Party. I'm sorry. No, this is why. This is one of the reasons why. It's so ideologically incoherent.
allies, including our European nations, and the defence of Ukraine and the defence of our shared democratic values. Can the Minister...
So, I am a socialist, I am a leftist, but I'm not against being... I'm not for the UK leaving the NATO alliance. I'm sorry, I'm just not. And you can chuck as many fucking excuses as you like at me. I'm not going to change my view on this.
Reassure this House that this Labour government will recommit to working even more closely with our allies for our collective defence. And can he confirm that unlike certain other parties...
And that's going to be one of the reasons that makes the Green Party so unpalatable to a lot of the voting public. Because the majority of the voting public are NATO friendly. Or NATO neutral, not against NATO. This is fucking stupid. So what everyone's saying to me right now, because I've left the Labour Party, oh, join the Greens, join the Greens. No.
Labour will always put the security of our citizens first.
Well, let me be absolutely clear with the House. NATO is the cornerstone of our security, and this government's commitment to the alliance is unshakable. The Greens, if that is the case, would be out of step with the British people, who recognise the importance of NATO membership. And let's also be clear, the only person that would benefit from taking apart the NATO alliance sits in the Kremlin, and that would be President Putin. And that's the victory we will not give him.
Good. So that was the Greens really disturbed me on that one. They really do.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the response of the Ukrainian military to Putin's invasion has been formidable. And one of the ways it's been so impressive is through the innovation that we have seen in drone technology. And Ukraine is now a world leader in strategic and tactical drones. And would my right honourable friend agree with me that it's so important that here in the UK and along with our NATO allies, we continue to invest in the Ukrainian military so that they can continue their fight for freedom and we can benefit from the advances in technology that they have brought forward.
Oh, I absolutely agree with my honourable friend there. The UK is co-leading the Drone Capability Coalition with Latvia, and we're improving and learning from the experience of our friends in Ukraine. Drone technology in Ukraine iterates every 2 to 3 weeks, so it's absolutely vital that we create not only the investment environments for new investments in drone technology, but as the UK military, we also look at those lessons learned, and I would expect a large part of the Strategic Defence Review to be looking at the lessons that we can learn from Ukraine and applying them to our own.
Once the Strategic Defence Review comes out, I will be doing another one of these on that.
Military as well.
Unlike certain other institutions, NATO is an alliance of sovereign, separate countries. And whilst thanking the Minister for his strong support of NATO, does he agree with me that we should be following the example of the frontline NATO states like Estonia and Poland, who recognise that the difference between deterring hostile Russia and actually having to fight a war is the difference between spending perhaps 4 or 5% of GDP, as we did in the 1980s, or 40 or 50% of GDP, if God forbid we ever have to engage in open hostilities.
Well, question from Tory. Remember for that. This government's delivering for defence with increased defence spending. By April 2027, we'll be spending 2.5% of our GDP on defence. That includes an extra £5 billion for defence in this financial year, and that will rise to 3% in the next palm when economic conditions allow. What we spend that money on is just as important, and that's what the Strategic Defence Review, when it is published, will set out.
Ford. Mr. Speaker, at the end of March, the US Secretary of State told Baltic states' foreign ministers that the US wants to continue participating in EU defence procurement initiatives. What has the UK discussed with the EU about any exclusion of US companies linked to the security and defence?
That's interesting. That's really fucking good. America still wants to get on in it. Fuck off.
Gentlemen, for that situation, it's certainly true that right across Europe, there are European and American firms that provide the capabilities that we need to keep our people safe. It's right that we continue those discussions with our European friends to look at how UK firms can participate, because UK firms are already present around Europe providing resources, as indeed our American friends are doing so as well. We all need to be spending more on defence, we all need to be renewing our capabilities, and we're working together to make sure that we have the frameworks and structures that enable that renewal of our forces.
It's like a Lib Dem MP or something.
Question number 11, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, we're delivering for defence by putting people at the heart of our defence plans. We've secured a deal to buy back 36,000 military homes, to improve housing for forces families and save taxpayers £600,000 a day in rent. Our new Consumers Charter means families will have a named housing officer, improved repairs and a clearer, shorter complaints process. Our forthcoming defence housing strategy will set out plans to undertake a generational review of our properties.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In December, the Defence Committee found that 2/3 of service family homes need extensive refurbishment or rebuilding to meet modern standards. We know that poor quality housing impacts on children's ability to learn and attend school, as well as their physical health. Can I ask what steps the government is taking to ensure that the 3,500 children from service families who attend school in North Yorkshire live in adequate accommodation?
Well, I agree with my honourable friend's analysis of the impact of poor housing. We have regained control of 2,793 of the 3,221 services family accommodation in Yorkshire and Humber, previously owned by Annington after a landmark deal earlier this year, as well as saving taxpayers rent that can be recycled into improvement. It enables us to plan a once-in-a-generation improvement to services family homes, and these detailed plans are going to be set out in the Defence Housing Strategy Review later this year.
Again, that sounds really good. But again, I want to know, to anyone watching, is that actually good?
Question number 13, please, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the government recognises the important service and the sacrifice of those forces, veterans who served in Northern Ireland. More were killed during the Troubles there than in Afghanistan. And I'm acutely aware of the anguish caused to those veterans and their families by historic investigations, and while the MOD continues to provide welfare support and legal support to those affected, I'm determined that we will do more.
John Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Operation Banner defeated the IRA militarily and paved the way for the Good Friday Agreement. So why then is this Labour government now pushing two-tier justice to the obvious...
Well, they really like this two-tier justice shit, don't they? Fuck off, Tory.
Of our brave Northern Ireland veterans, and to the advantage of Jerry Adams and his Sinn Féin fellow travellers. Where is the justice in that?
Very good.
This is a government that is dealing with the woeful shortcomings of the last government's Legacy Act. And as we do so, we will give priority to strengthening the protections that preserve the dignity and the respect for our veterans that serve there.
Still.
Number 14, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We inherited a recruitment and retention crisis from the last government, but since July we have taken decisive measures, slashing the time it takes to access medical records from weeks to hours, and restructuring the Army's recruitment organisation.
Weeks! Weeks! Fucking hell. Sorry, Helen. She's called me. For fuck's sake.
And Mr. Speaker, it is working. Year-on-year inflow is up 20%, outflow is down 8%. The Navy's yearly recruiting target has been exceeded. The RAF's applications are up 34% compared to early 2024, and the Army is seeing a 7-year high in applications.
Good.
Good. Mr. Speaker, it may or it may not come as a surprise to the House to know that I was once a Royal Navy cadet myself. I do believe that the cadet force is hugely important when it comes to retention and recruitment. The trouble is Mr. Speaker, trying to get people to step forward to help run cadet forces. I wonder if the government would consider some form of inducement scheme whereby every single community has veterans, we know about that, to encourage them to step forward and help organise the cadets.
Okay, I don't know about that one.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. He is a role model for the Sea Cadets in that case, in terms of seeing what you can do by serving in the cadet forces. But seriously, cadets are a fantastic way of growing in confidence, learning new skills, and for many young people, finding a career in the armed forces.
Wasn't interested
Supporting
myself
those
as a kid, but
that work with our cadets
it's
to
for
help
you.
train them is absolutely vital. And we know that there's a huge opportunity in expanding cadets, in investing more, and that is what this government intends to do.
Steve.
Front bench.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This government is expanding UK-wide employment support for the armed forces community through Opposend, a free advice service launched earlier this year for veterans and their families. We continue to also offer tailored employment support via the Career Transition Partnership.
Okay.
So national insurance relief for employing veterans comes at really quite low cost to the Treasury, but it's effective not just for its financial incentive, but because it opens up conversations within employers. Of late, in written answers, the government has been slightly equivocal about the future of this programme. Can you now confirm that beyond just the next year, this programme of relief will continue to support veterans' employment?
Very good.
Okay.
Well, I thank the honourable gentleman for his question. It's absolutely vital that we support our veterans. We've extended the national insurance relief for a further year, and I'm very happy arranging a conversation with him, with our Treasury colleagues, if he would like to make a further case, because I'm sure that he would join a chorus of voices in doing so.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In January 1945, in Darlington, William McMillan, a Canadian air pilot, was flying a plane across the densely populated town when it set fire. He steered it away from the populated area and evacuated his 6 crewmates.
unfortunately losing his life in the process. This act of heroism has not been recognised by the Canadian government because it was a training exercise, and so I urge the Secretary of State to join me in my campaign and with the local veterans in Darlington to support this call for a posthumous recognition.
Okay.
Well, can I thank my honourable friend for the way in which he's raised that case? I think it is certainly something that the whole House can get behind. I think telling the stories of the bravery, the courage of those people who served in that golden generation is absolutely vital.
We've hit an hour here, and I am, well, my back's starting to hurt for being sat down for so long. So we're gonna pause this here. This, to me, this sounds good, right? But I really do need people to let me know whether or not it actually is good. Again, I will put the link to this in the description, but I really, 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 really would value input, because it logically sounds, a lot of what I've heard today, it sounds logically really good, but I don't have the knowledge base to go, yeah, this is definitely brilliant. See what I mean? So if others who have more of a knowledge base in this area can let me know whether or not this is good, this is actually good, be much appreciated. Alright? So I hope you enjoyed this, badgers. Please like and subscribe. I'll be doing more of this. I will do a video on the whole EU UK deal from earlier. Either later today or tomorrow. But again, I'm still wanting to get my head around everything fast. Alright? So, but I am buzzing about it. I'm a buzzing badger right now about it. I'm quite excited. So, my solitary service badgers and my shield backs, blessed be and good willed. Praise blessings.